Hi. I've seen lately on social media quite a few actors posting about how difficult it is to be an actor, both financially and trying to get ahead in the industry and what's expected of you, uh, you know, the regular costs you have to pay for things like, in the UK it's Spotlight, but each country has its own must-be-on website you have to pay for, headshots, acting lessons, and there's always casting directors and others having workshops and all these things you're encouraged to go to and do. And it costs a lot of money, a lot of money. If you're not getting any work, that's really, really difficult. And it made me think, would I do it now? Would I start now? I came to it late, and it's been almost 20 years. I've been a professional actor, about half of that as a filmmaker. And it made me think of a couple of points for and against doing that. I know it's difficult and very subjective, each person's experience as an actor and as a filmmaker as well, in my case. So I'm only expressing things which I'm feeling, and what you're feeling about things may be completely different. I've gone back to notes on the laptop. I don't know why, but I did. I do like writing on pen and paper, and there's been research that it helps things sink in or makes you connect with the material more if you do that. But then the other side of that is if you've got a laptop or an iPad or whatever, it's probably better to make the most of that than, use paper. I don't know. Okay, what have I written here? Let's start with some positives, shall we? It's always good to be positive. Yeah, the gatekeepers. In a way, you could say that the gatekeepers have left the building, because with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the different streaming options, you can get yourself out there and blast yourself around the internet without having to go through, the gatekeepers of old. Actors in the past didn't have all these opportunities to put themselves out there. So I think in that respect, it's a positive, because you can create your own material, shoot your own scenes, shoot a monologue, show people what you've got to offer, and you can choose pieces and tailor it to your strengths. So that, I think, is a positive. And as far as that, maybe with more of a indie filmmaker hat on, you can do it all on your phone, like I'm doing. You could shoot a film on your phone. Films shot on phones have won awards. If you're an actor, you're a storyteller anyway. So maybe, that's something to think about, because even really nice cameras you can get for £1,000 or £1,500 or £2,000, or, it's a lot less to get a bit of kit which produces really good quality footage. So you could do it yourself if you're a filmmaker. If you're an actor, you could hook up with a filmmaker and, explore ideas, and you could shoot it for not much money. So technology, I think, is in our favor. And I think because there's such a rise in niche, what's the American word? I forgot last time too. What do they call it? I forget how they pronounce it again. Such a rise in niche content that whatever quirky thing you're interested in or like doing, or if your film you want to make is way off, the mainstream path, there's an audience out there. And with YouTube and social media platforms, you can connect with them. So your crazy idea or your crazy film or your crazy monologue or whatever it is can find an audience. And that wasn't the case before. You didn't have this ability to do that. So that's definitely a positive. And I think, even though it doesn't seem to be affecting my the amount of work I'm getting as an actor, I think that there's a general move towards more everyday people, more lived-in people, more regular people, rather than pretty boy, pretty girl, narrow focus. I mean, there still is that to a degree, but your leading men and leading women aren't classical. A lot of them aren't classical looking leading men and leading women from the past. That's not to say they're unattractive or anything, but they don't have that sort of predefined look. So I think things are broadened out and people are looking for a whole range of different looks of people. So I think that's a positive. So I think there is a lot of good things happening, but it doesn't seem to be making things easier somehow. But there are opportunities. Just maybe if you keep putting stuff out there and trying things, as long as it's good. Don't if you shoot something and your mum tells you it's great, then get a second opinion before you start posting it out and blasting it around the world. You want to have some friends around you, whether you're an actor or a filmmaker, who can tell you when it's crap, because you need that. Because you get lost, as both an actor and a filmmaker, you get lost in what you're doing in a good way, but sometimes it takes you off the path. And you have to be prepared to produce crap. That's just part of the process. But you need people to point out to you that when it is crap, or when you've gone off in a direction which makes everything just not work. You need that feedback. So make sure you get it before you start blasting stuff out there, because you don't want to be known for bad stuff, simply. Okay, here's some reasons why I wouldn't do it today. There does seem to be, and this is my perception, everything I say is my perception, so you can tear it to pieces if you disagree. There does seem to be a narrowing of that middle band of actors. Like you've got your top 1%, and there seems to be a desire to look for, people off the street, regular people, and that middle band of the character actor or the every man, every woman actor, sort of, that seems to be narrowing, I think. And it seems to be getting more difficult for the vast majority of actors to get work. And that, it just seems to be narrowing. And, you see the same faces in all the films. And in a way, it's always been like that. But it just feels like that middle ground where you might have a shot at getting some work is narrowing. That's my sense of things anyway. Um, as an indie filmmaker, um, as well as the pressure of feeling, of wanting to get your films made and where's the money going to come from and all that sort of stuff, there is a real pressure to produce content. And while I quite like doing these pieces to camera, I know that in any film I'm thinking about doing in the future, a big part of it is going to be content production. We may shoot more content footage than we do film footage. That's just the way it is. And the thing with that is you feel like you're spending a lot of time doing admin type things around creating content rather than you are about making films, or the art of making films, or the art of being an actor. If you're an actor producing a lot of content, it's the same story. You spend most of your time, maybe 90% of it, around all the stuff you have to do to produce that content, rather than being an actor. And that sucks. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd have enough money to pay someone to do that, but you've got to get the work to be able to do that. So it's a catch-22 situation. But yeah, you have to spend much more time around content than you really want to. Well, than I really want to. Of course, AI uncertainty. What's that going to do for us as an actor or as a filmmaker? How will that affect those careers going forward? And you're hearing now these big takeovers of studios that lots and lots of people are being laid off or are going to be laid off because AI can do those functions. So, and there's a long, ugly path ahead about actors and AI actors, which we've only just scratched the surface of, really, and that's going to go on for a long time. And I don't know where it's going to end up, but I don't know. It almost feels like we might end up with two industries: an AI industry, filmmaking industry, and a non-AI filmmaking industry. I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. Actors and filmmakers and anyone in the industry and in other industries feel uncertain. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if there's going to be any work. So it's difficult to commit to a career in this industry with AI hanging over it, unless you pivot and go into something else or jump on the AI filmmaking bandwagon, or I don't know, but I suspect most actors and filmmakers want to keep it natural. That's my experience anyway, so it's difficult. The impact of AI will be significant, but how much it will affect actors and filmmakers is still a big black hole at the moment. But it's scary. It's scary for creative people in general. I mean, I like oil paintings and things, and I like to look at them on Instagram largely. And there's so much AI art that, I don't know, it's just, I find it depressing, to be completely honest with you. I'm sure there's some skill to it, but I don't see how it can ever beat an artist with a brush in their hair. Yeah, so there's that. And as an actor, self-tape. Self-taping, I just realized I've folded my arms as if I'm shutting down here. Self-taping is, it's a bit soul-destroying, to be honest with you. There's nothing quite like being in the room with a casting director or the producer or director or whoever else is in the room. Whether it's a commercial or a film or a TV show or whatever it is, there's nothing like being in the room with the people, because that in itself brings a certain energy, and you're engaged and you're getting feedback and you get to do a few things, try it a few different ways. And it's just, as an actor, it's kind of a fulfilling experience in itself, and a reaffirming experience that, I don't know, you just can't get doing self-tapes. Because self-tapes, you're usually, in your room somewhere, or, up against a blank wall with no one else around, if it's just you, or getting someone else to read for you, which is great, but it's not the same as being in the room with the casting director, producer. And I wish we could go back to just being in the room and self-tapes weren't a thing anymore, because I don't think you get the best out of people with self-tapes. Actors are sensitive creatures, usually, and they need that interaction to bring out their best. So, and by doing the self-tape, I understand it from a practical point of view, but you could be missing out on, a man or a woman doing a fantastic job just because they're not so fantastic at self-tapes and they really need that human interaction. And overall, it's just kind of depressing. It's, it's tough enough being an actor now. And there's something about going into preparing, going into the audition room and having that whole experience, which is kind of reaffirming as an actor. And I wish we could bring that back. Yeah. These are, of course, just my own personal feelings, the way I feel, but I suspect there's probably some people who feel the same. Okay, what else have I written here? Yeah, I think that's about it. As I say, it's all my personal feelings, my experiences. Would I start again now? Because I think it's since I started, it's just got tougher and tougher and tougher as an actor or as an indie filmmaker. Yes, there's all these opportunities with being able to put your work out there on social media and YouTube and things. That's definitely a positive, but overall I think it's got much harder, and I would still do it if it was me, because it's just a part of me. Thanks for watching. You can see Kin Spirits for free on Tubi, and I hope to see you in the next one.